Back in the Piedmont, we're following another big story tonight. The heated debate over the name of the Dixie Classic Fair. It could change as early as 2020.
Dozens fill the education building at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds tonight to give their thoughts about what should or should not happen moving forward and if a name change should or should not happen. New tonight, live team coverage with what went down during tonight's forum and what's next. Our Brianna Connor kicks off our team coverage tonight. Brianna.
Talitha, Kenny, if there's one thing people can agree on, it's that this fair is really important. It means a whole lot to a lot of people and their families. That's part of the reason we've seen such a strong reaction from people when they first proposed the idea to change the name of the Dixie Classic Fair. It's been called that since 1956. Earlier, the city put out a survey asking people what they thought the fair should be called. The majority, more than 80%, responded saying it should stay the Dixie Classic Fair. But at tonight's forum, we heard from a lot of people who are on the other side of this debate. Our Steve King was inside the education building when people were saying their opinions. So, Steve, tell us more about who was inside that room.
Brianna, there were more than 100 people at tonight's public meeting, including several religious leaders, and there were more than 60 speakers as well, more than half of whom were in favor of the name being changed. And at tonight's meeting, there were some pretty heated moments.
It is a symbol of hate. It is a symbol of separation and division.
Sir, your time is up. Please wrap
I
up your
rest my
comments.
case. Take it down.
Local religious leaders in the Winston-Salem area attended Tuesday's meeting, calling for the name Dixie Classic Fair to be changed.
I recommend a change in the name.
Several others spoke as well on both sides of the issue.
And I think we should change the name.
Don't change it.
A few people said the name Dixie is both racist and hateful.
And I don't care what you may say it came from. It's to us, it is derogatory.
You wouldn't want the Third Reich Classic Fair. You wouldn't want the SS Nazi Classic Fair. But somehow we're happy and comfortable with the Dixie Classic Fair.
While others say the name Dixie is not about hate or prejudice.
Let's not muck up the word. It's a $10 note that the French published when they were in control of Louisiana.
And that changing the name would be the wrong move.
This will be the most tremendous public relations blunder you've ever seen.
And I will boycott the fair. Everybody I know, I will try to influence them to boycott the fair. And you can appease the minority, or you can alienate the majority. You do the best you can.
Councilmember Dee Dee Adams, who's in favor of the name change, was in attendance and says the meeting went about as well as it could have.
I believe that there was some minds changed tonight.
The chair of the Fair Planning Committee also says that the meeting went pretty well and the committee will be taking everything discussed tonight into consideration moving forward. Brianna, back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for that report. As you just heard, and you've probably seen online on social media, the big debate is over that one word, Dixie. Some people are offended by it, some aren't, but they both cite the history of the word to make their cases. So who's right? We did a little digging and we found out the origin of that word, Dixie, is debated. But here's what we know. In the 1800s, the State Bank of Louisiana issued Dix notes as currency. That money was used up and down the Mississippi River throughout the South, and that region became known as Dixieland. Then in the 1850s, a song, I'd Rather Be in Dixie, made the nickname even more popular. It was originally sang in minstrel shows by white actors who performed in blackface to portray African Americans as better off enslaved. So people on both sides are correct in using specific points in history to make their arguments. Another argument we heard tonight had to do with how much the change would cost. The city would have to rebrand everything from promotional items to the contracts they use for events and vendors and entertainers to just the signs you see around the city that point you to the Dixie Classic Fair. Well, I've tried to ask and found out how much that would cost. Right now, the early estimate is anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million.
I don't know what the final number is for the rebranding. I know city staff is working to compile that information, and we will definitely take that into consideration when we make our recommendation.
Well, that woman you just heard from is the chair of the Fair Planning Committee. We did a little more digging to find out who's on that board, and here's what we found. Of course, the mayor and city council are elected. They appoint members of something called the Public Assembly Facilities Commission, and that group appoints the planning committee. These people will make a recommendation to the city council members, taking into account the cost of a name change and public opinion this summer. We're told the council will make a final decision in August. And if they do decide to change the name of the Dixie Classic Fair, it wouldn't take effect until 2020. Reporting live in Winston-Salem tonight, I'm Brianna Connor, WXII 12 News.